Voltage regulator IC. 3-terminal 1 ampere positive voltage regulator. Introduction. A voltage regulator is an electronic device or circuit that maintains a constant output voltage, regardless of changes in the input voltage or load conditions. It is essential in many electronic systems to ensure that sensitive components receive stable and reliable power. Linear fixed output voltage regulators operate by dissipating excess voltage as heat. Examples: LM7805 to LM7824. Pros: simple, low noise, and precise. Cons: inefficient for large voltage differences, generates heat. LM7809 CT. Positive voltage regulator. Input voltage, 11.5 volts to 24 volts. Output voltage, minimum 8.6 volts. Typical 9.0 volts. Maximum 9.4 volts. LM7809 CT internal block diagram. LM7809 CT voltage measurement, minimum. Input 11.5 volts. Output 8.6 volts. LM7809 CT voltage measurement, typical. Input 17.75 volts. Output 9.0 volts. LM7809 CT voltage measurement, maximum. Input 24 volts. Output 9.4 volts. PCB. LM7809 ACT. Positive voltage regulator. Input voltage, 11.2 volts to 24 volts. Output voltage, minimum 8.65 volts. Typical 9.0 volts. Maximum 9.35 volts. LM7809 ACT internal block diagram. LM7809 ACT voltage measurement, minimum. Input 11.2 volts. Output 8.65 volts. LM7809 ACT voltage measurement, typical. Input 17.6 volts. Output 9.0 volts. LM7809 ACT voltage measurement, maximum. Input 24.0 volts. Output 9.35 volts. PCB. LM7810 CT. Positive voltage regulator. Input voltage, 12.5 volts to 25 volts. Output voltage, minimum 9.5 volts. Typical 10.0 volts. Maximum 10.5 volts. LM7810 CT internal block diagram. LM7810 CT voltage measurement, minimum. Input 12.5 volts. Output 9.5 volts. LM7810 CT voltage measurement, typical. Input 18.75 volts. Output 10.0 volts. LM7810 CT voltage measurement, maximum. Input 25.0 volts. Output 10.5 volts. PCB. LM7810 ACT. Positive voltage regulator. Input voltage, 12.8 volts to 25 volts. Output voltage, minimum 9.6 volts. Typical 10.0 volts. Maximum 10.4 volts. LM7810 ACT internal block diagram. LM7810 ACT voltage measurement, minimum. Input 12.8 volts. Output 9.6 volts. LM7810 ACT voltage measurement, typical. Input 18.9 volts. Output 10.0 volts. LM7810 ACT voltage measurement, maximum. Input 25.0 volts. Output 10.4 volts. PCB. LM7812 CT. Positive voltage regulator. Input voltage, 14.5 volts to 27 volts. Output voltage. Minimum 11.4 volts. Typical 12.0 volts. Maximum 12.6 volts. LM7812 CT internal block diagram. LM7812 CT voltage measurement, minimum. Input 14.5 volts. Output 11.4 volts. LM7812 CT voltage measurement, typical. Input 20.75 volts. Output 12.0 volts. LM7812 CT voltage measurement, maximum. Input 27.0 volts. Output 12.6 volts. PCB. LM7812 ACT. Positive voltage regulator. Input voltage, 14.8 volts to 27 volts. Output voltage. Minimum 11.5 volts. Typical 12.0 volts. Maximum 12.5 volts. LM7812 ACT internal block diagram. LM7812 ACT voltage measurement, minimum. Input 14.8 volts. Output 11.5 volts. LM7812 ACT voltage measurement, typical. Input 20.9 volts. Output 12.0 volts. LM7812 ACT voltage measurement, maximum. Input 27.0 volts. Output 12.5 volts. PCB. Thank you for watching.